Hey friends, I'm ready to prepare my Sunday dinner for the Three Rivers Challenge for the third week of January 2024. Come on down to the countertop and see what we're having. I have what they're calling a ham roast. I haven't opened very many of these. This came from our neighbor, and I suspect that it's basically a bone-in pork shoulder, pork leg, or something like that. Let's look into this. It's about 3 pounds. So there we are, I was right. It is a bone-in leg roast or butt roast. It still has skin all the way around it, and I have a little bit of meat exposed here. I'm going to cook it wide side down, but I'm going to put a lot of flavoring on the bottom. So that means putting it right in the bottom of the crock pot. I'm going to use a hefty serving of minced garlic. That's probably 3 or 4 cloves. This brand of garlic is very mild. I'm going to use half a cup of maple syrup. And then I'm going to use about 1/4 cup of mustard. You can use yellow mustard, you can use Dijon, you can use bold and spicy, whatever it is you like. I'm not a fan of regular yellow mustard. I like the intensity of a bold and spicy. Okay, that's a half cup measure. I filled it about halfway, so that should be 1/4 cup. Oh, and look at that. That all just fell out by itself. I didn't have to do anything else. Because I know this mustard mix is not quite spicy enough for me, I'm going to add some mustard powder, but not a lot. I just want to use it to thicken this up a little bit. Let's go with maybe 1/4 teaspoon. There we go, maybe half a teaspoon. That will intensify the mustard flavor, and it will thicken this up a little bit. I'm just going to mix those all together. I want to just stir that till they're evenly mixed. I'm going to coat my roast in that just by rotating my roast around in this liquid. Make sure I get some on the part that will be the top. Flip it over. There we go. Because it's already late in my day, I'm just going to put the lid on that and put it on high. And now I'll leave that. It's a 3-pound roast. Most of the recipes I'm finding are for 4 or 5 pound roasts. And they say 4 to 5 hours on low, but this is frozen, so I also want to put that on high. If it was defrosted, I could go with all the recipes I'm finding. I'm going to cook that till it's done. It's 1:30 now, so I am getting a late start. I want to cook that till it reaches an internal temperature of 145. I'll show you that as it becomes ready. It's a bit late to be having lunch, but I haven't had anything really today. I had some granola this morning. I haven't really had anything for lunch, so I should get something. I'm just going to have an adult's Lunchables. I'm going to have a bit of crackers, the cheese, a bit of cheddar cheese, a bit of pastrami. What do we got here? That's 1 slice broken in half. That's 2 slices. Oh, maybe, yeah, that's 2 slices. I would put that much on a wrap sandwich. That'll do. Cheese, crackers, pickled beets, and pastrami. I might as well empty the pickle jar. It's got 2 little, oh, I'm making a mess. It's got 2 little slices left in it, and empty that jar. There we go. That's my lunch. Let's check the temperature on this. Without touching the bone. It's no longer frozen in the center, and we're up to 133 degrees. I only have to go to 145. I think dinner will be done just on time. Probably another hour would put that to the right position. 5:30, 6 o'clock, somewhere in there. Hey friends, I showed you what I was eating for lunch. That delicious pastrami and cheese and crackers and all of that. Well, about an hour ago, I started around 3 or 3:30. I started to feel a little off. I had a little bit of an ache in my neck, A little bit of dizzy. Do I have a headache coming on? Oh, maybe not. Do I have a headache coming on? Oh, maybe not. It just felt like I was coming down with something. And I'm feeling very warm. Part of me just went, did you eat something that's did you eat something that's off, or did you eat something that's bothering you? Well, that pastrami, I went and read the label. I can't eat it. It has a caramel color that includes sulfites, and sulfites typically give me a migraine. I'm guessing the dose is low enough that it's not giving me a full-on migraine, but it's giving me enough to go, something's not right, there's something off. So I guess Dan gets to eat the rest of that lunch meat. Darn it, it's so delicious. Life with allergies. It's just a joy. So here we are, 5:30. Please excuse the background noise. I have laundry running. Again, it's the weekend and it's reduced time of use expense for hydro. And who can't afford to save money on hydro? Let's check this thermometer. Oh, we're awesome. That's supposed to, oh, why did that shut off? Okay. My temperature is supposed to be 145 and we're up to 190 and climbing, so we are good. Let me see what happens if I get closer to the bone without going all the way through and without touching bone. Yeah, that's coming up to 200 degrees. We're good. I can shut this off. So now I'm just going to pull together some sides and dinner will be ready. Okay, now let's see what this roast looks like. Oh, it's got some substantial fat in it, but I think it looks delicious. It smells fantastic. That sweet and mustard together smells really good. So there we go, Dan's dinner and my dinner. It smells delicious. I just had a taste. It's fantastic.
Looks almost as delicious as you.
Let's see what I can get up to today.
So this is my regular routine. This is not healthy, I know. So I do these ramen things. I usually put frozen vegetables in there and something else. We had some hot dogs that needed to be used up, so I put them in there. And I use frozen vegetables in there. So it's a little bit different every time. I just add random proteins. Sometimes I'll drop a couple of eggs in there or something, but my lunch is too much sodium now. I know. Oh, there we go. Put my noodles in. I don't cook the noodles the whole time because I tend to eat the vegetables and stuff before I start on the noodles and I have time to fully cook. Or rehydrate, really. These are dehydrated noodles. Or freeze-dried, maybe? I'm not sure. There we go. And since I'm the only one eating this, I don't use a dish. I eat right out of the pot.
Let's use up some leftovers from the fridge for my lunch today. I have leftover tzatziki sauce, which was sour cream based. So that'll be good. And I have sour cream. I'm not going to use all of that up, but let's put those two things together, and I'm happy with that. I have homemade yogurt in the fridge. I used my Instant Pot and made yogurt last week. I wasn't satisfied with the footage, so I didn't share it. And this is my corn salsa from August of 23. I didn't make salsa last year, so this is what it is. I'll get a lid for that. And that is going to be my lunch. Vegetables, dairy, corn chips. Yes. Since we had the pork roast last night and ate all of it, there are no leftovers from our Sunday night dinner. Come down to the countertop and see what we're having instead. So this says December 2023. And this says December 2023. Let me show you what we've got going on here. I don't use these tinfoil containers most of the time. These are leftovers from Christmas, and it was convenient to put them away this way when I had a house full of guests. It was just easy. The intentions were for my family to take these home with them, but everybody forgot. So what this is leftover turkey and gravy, then vegetables, stuffing, and potatoes on top. We can either serve this as is with just potatoes on top, or we can put cheese on top. I think today we're going to just have them the way they are. They've been sitting on the stovetop for an hour to defrost, and they're still frozen solid, so I know they're going to take more than an hour to cook. I will put a cookie sheet underneath of those, and I'll just slide them in the oven, 325 for an hour, hour and a half. I'll use the thermometer to make sure they come to a good hot temperature inside, 145, 165, something like that. The contents have all been cooked, but I want to make sure they're heated through. That will be dinner. I'll show you when it's ready. It's shepherd pie style turkey. Let's check the temperature on this. It's been in the oven now for an hour. Without touching the bottom, let's see what we can get. We're heading towards 140. Wow, that spot's hotter. We got anywhere from 130 to 181, but that means there's pockets that are not hot and there are pockets that are hot. I'm going to put it back in for another half hour. Doesn't that look delicious? Oh, it smells really good. The gravy smell is all through the house. It smells like turkey. It smells like a turkey dinner. Without touching the bottom. Look, we're over 200. Let's check a few spots. 200. Dan has just stepped outside to put the chickens to bed, so when he comes in, it'll be dinner time. There is my shepherd's pie style turkey dinner. Of course I have to put some pickles with that. Fresh jar of pickled beets from September 2022. Let's use these up. I have some from 2023, so it's not like I have to keep these in the pantry to last longer. And that just puts some extra vegetables on my plate. A little bit of pepper, and Dan's dinner is ready too. Well, today's the day. I'm going to get myself, I don't know if I want to eat that one. It's all broken. I got myself some crackers and I'm going to eat the sardines. These are a lemon. They're in lemon sauce. We all know that fish and lemon is good together. Come on. There we go. Sardines in lemon sauce. And I will just eat it directly out of the can. Whatever I don't eat, I'll give to the dog or to the chickens or to the stray cats. I'll probably eat half the can myself though. That's what I'm having for lunch today. I might need to have an apple or a tangerine afterwards to freshen my breath, but that's what's for lunch.
Alright, so let's make some ramen. I'm gonna use some chicken broth. Oh, lights. I don't know if you can see that or not. Chicken broth. There we go. September 23. Homemade. Sometimes I use the pre-packaged stuff. Sometimes I make natural homemade ramen, I guess. So usually we'll put in one jar like this. I don't know what this is. It's a medium jar. And what are we adding to this today? Typically I put vegetables for sure. Buy these from Costco. I don't know if you can see that. I don't want to burn my hand. There we go. Stir fry special blend. Kirkland brand. I have a variety of things in here, including mushrooms, which my lovely wife cannot eat. It's all mine. Try to be generous with it. That was good. Then I usually look for a protein of sorts. I shouldn't be crinkling while I'm talking. I often will put some of these in there. Mini wontons, Siwin mini wontons, chicken and vegetable. I'll put a few of those in there. By a few, I mean I like a lot, so maybe a couple more. Okay, and since it's homemade broth, typically it's not heavily spiced or anything. So I put, well, this isn't actually the right label, but it's Montreal steak spice, basically. I'll put in a little bit of that. Gives a little bit of salty flavor. Not much. And then I put some of this in there. I tried different ones, so this time I'm using this. It's rice noodles. Comes in a little brick. This is not freeze dried, so it takes a little bit longer to cook, so I usually put it in right away. That's basically it, except for one more thing that I'm going to put in at the end. And of course, from our chickens, I'm peeling a couple of hard-boiled eggs, which I will half. This batch, the shells are giving me a hard time, but they're not too bad. Almost forgot an important ingredient. A little sriracha. And this one is plant-based sriracha. That's pretty rare. Just a little bit, just to give it a little zip. Depending on the types of noodles I use, I will, if they're the freeze-dried or some of the dehydrated types, I actually don't let them, I don't cook the noodles. I just make the soup, and when everything else is ready, I take it off and I eat the noodles last so they have time to cook still while I'm eating. In this case, these need to be cooked, so I have to wait this out a little bit longer. That absolutely smells divine. If you walk up to the screen and scratch the screen a bit, you can smell it. Drop in a couple of eggs. There we go. That's my lunch.
Hey friends, today's day 23. We've already done breakfast and some lunch, so now it's time to look at dinner. Today is Tuesday, so this would be our Try It Tuesday on our rotational week. And I've only tried making meatloaf twice, so I'm going to try making that. And one of the ingredients in the recipes that we typically see is ketchup. We're out of ketchup. I mean, there's like this much in the bottom of a bottle, enough to put on a burger basically. But I have lots of tomato sauce and tomato paste, and I found a recipe. I'm going to give it a try. It keeps for 2 weeks in the fridge, so that'll get me through to the end of the month. Come down to the stovetop and try out this recipe with me. Here I have the tomato sauce from 2022. It's full of seeds. I have to run that through a sieve. And I have a tomato paste from 2022. I got this recipe from the device on the counter that's owned by Amazon. This is called Quick Ketchup, and it is written, the recipe is by Lindsay Moe, M-O-E, Moe. And it calls for 16 ounces of tomato sauce. The recipe calls for 16 ounces of tomato sauce and 6 ounces of tomato paste. This isn't going to be exactly 6 ounces of tomato paste. This is probably closer to 8. It calls for 2 tablespoons of distilled white vinegar. 1, 2. It calls for a 1/4 cup of white sugar. It calls for 1/8 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne. I've reduced that a little bit. It calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. And that is all of the ingredients. Okay, stir all the ingredients until they're combined. Well, that's not going to be difficult. That's it. They're combined. And then I see there were seeds in that tomato paste, and it's darker than the seeds that were in the ketchup or in the tomato sauce. I'm going to bring this to a simmer over medium-low heat, and then I'm going to cook it for an hour. And that is all there is to it. I forgot to hit the record button. This bowl that looks like pig slop, well, it's peppers and onions and garlic powder, onion powder, Italian seasoning, Worcestershire, egg, and oatmeal. I've had to improvise on a few things because it called for red peppers and I didn't have red peppers. I only have orange. It calls for 1 pound of ground meat. It actually calls it meatloaf mix, which would be beef, pork, chicken, turkey, whatever you've got, whatever you choose. And we are out of our ground pork, so I am using 100% beef today. And I'm just going to mix that in. Well, it's come out pretty soft and mushy. I'm glad I didn't put the extra egg or milk in there. It's very soft. I'm going to now transfer that into a loaf pan that I have covered in parchment paper. And I'm going to preheat my oven to 375. Apparently my husband has made meatloaf before, and he's telling me how he did it, and this is not like he does it, but he wasn't here at the time that I was making this recipe, so we'll go with this and see what comes out of it. It is another one of those recipes from the device on the kitchen counter. This one is from a website called Chef Savvy, and the author is Kelly Simmons. So I bake this now at 375. It just says to bake it until it reaches an internal temperature of 140. And then you glaze it and you put it back in and continue cooking for 10 minutes. No, you continue cooking till it's 160. Then you let it set for 10 minutes. That's the only time on it. I have to cross-reference recipes now. My ketchup is done. I've tasted it and it turned out amazing. I don't know if I would go and never buy ketchup again. I'll have to read the ingredients labels. And we don't use a lot of ketchup, but this is good. This is nice. It'll do for a couple of weeks. Now, Let's go on to make dessert. I have plans of getting something else out of my pantry. All right, since I've already got the oven working on the meatloaf and it's going to be hot, I might as well continue baking. I've got a pan. I'm going to grease that pan with some butter. I have a bag of apple slices in the freezer. They've been there since November. They've got to be used up. These apples, when I did them, were very soft, so I don't expect them to be any firmer now than they were. But there we go. When I was bagging these to put them in the freezer, I used this dish to measure how much I was going to want. So there we go. If you caught my video where I did apple crisp before, just recently during the January Pantry Challenge, I'm just going to use the leftovers from that and do it again. There's only 2 of us. We don't need a pan of apple crisp bigger than this. That'll do. Some of the apples might poke through and some of this might turn out soft, but it's going to be delicious just the same. I'm going to let this sit until I take the meatloaf out. Well, that looks pretty good. I've got my thermometer on. Oh, it's very soft though. I don't know if it's cooked. Oh, 145. Right there, 145. 166, 170. That's good. Okay, so that's cooked enough. It's really soft. I'm surprised by that. But now I put the tomato sauce on, or the ketchup on it. And I put that back in the oven for 10 minutes. I think I'm supposed to turn the temperature up too. Now I do have a cookie sheet underneath of this, just on the rack below, so that if anything boils over, it's not all over the bottom of my oven. Let's see how that goes. I have broccoli steaming in the microwave. My meatloaf is supposed to come out and sit for 10 minutes before I cut into it. My squash is boiling away on the stove. It's ready to be mashed. There's my broccoli. So I've got 10 minutes. I can pull the rest of dinner together. I'm going to adjust the temperature on the oven from 375 down to 350. And I'm going to put my apple crisp in the oven. They probably could have cooked side by side, but I don't think I want the flavors of the meatloaf getting into the apple crisp. Okay, let's mash some squash. I didn't think about it until afterwards. Why would you put vinegar in your meatloaf? I'm glad it was only a teaspoon, or whatever that measurement was. The recipe didn't have very clear written instructions, and I didn't think very much of it, but that little picture that was on the screen, it had a video. Those last 3 ingredients were supposed to go into a glaze together, so that would have been brown sugar, vinegar, and the ketchup together to make a glaze on top of the beef. Let's find out what it tastes like here in just a minute, and dinner is going to be served. So there we go. There's dinner. Meatloaf, squash, and broccoli. I'm interested in the taste test of this. I haven't made broccoli probably twice in my whole life, or I haven't made meatloaf maybe twice in my whole life, so this could be interesting. It should be tasty. I'm not going to poison anybody with it.
Or will she? Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's delicious. It's wonderful. My whole flavor palette has been brought to life. Oh, that's pretty good.
You're such a goofball.
Yum yum.
Now it's my turn. We've had to turn on the overhead fan. Apparently that pizza pan, or the cookie sheet underneath of the that thing I put in the oven to catch the drips. Apparently that's caught the drips and it's smoking now. So we got some smoke developing in the kitchen. The oven is the only thing that's on. Now it's my turn to have a taste. It's tasty. It's really soft. I'm glad I left it on the counter for 10 minutes to firm up, but it's almost mushy soft. I'll have to improve on that. I'll try a different recipe next time. good. Good night, guys. Thanks for watching today's video. Be sure to check out Jessica at the Three Rivers Homestead. She's been running this challenge for several years, and the hashtag Three Rivers Challenge will bring you to all kinds of other people who are also contributing to this challenge and participating. What a great way to build community and see what other people are doing to help make ends meet, see what other people are doing to use up stuff in their pantry that they may have been ignoring for a little too long. Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. See you next time.